The 10 short stories are all folded into the book. No, I think every story that was one of the 10 is in there.
So you feel like you own it even though it's changed
yes,
drastically?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, my final draft, some of the stories may be shortened a bit. What Gail Winston, the editor, was really good at doing was not only saying, okay, this entire story just, the whole thing is too long, so you need to cut out some, and she was really good at sort of wielding the scalpel in a very gentle manner. So what I gave her is really what the book is, but it's just shaped better. And there were some suggestions that she gave me as far as maybe not adding so much to the bird story, but to my own, because I can write about birds till the cows come home, but writing about myself is really difficult. And so she was really great and sort of,
For marketing, we've talked here about the core audience, birding people.
Yes.
And the next audience, women doing interesting new things, so the book would have the more of that, the better.
Right. And things like nonprofit burnout. I mean, it doesn't have to be a bird organization. It can be any kind of nonprofit.
This is kind of a general question. I think that would just maybe be applicable to different situations. You as a total birder, would you be interested in somebody who was like a dogger? Is it possible that somebody who's just in, do you see that as an audience? Would you, since you're...
Yes, I do, because I just read Cy Montgomery's book, The Good, Good Pig, and besides just weeping all the way through it, it was an amazing book to me. I mean, I think you have the birders, but then even more so you have the animal people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Animals are kind of universal.
It covers a lot of ground, but luckily there's a lot of birders out there, but there really aren't that many books for birders.
This wasn't so much a question as a comment. There was some general consensus among myself and some of the people in the room that your husband is awesome. And
he would love to hear that.
So I just,
Well, I'll tell him. He'll be really happy to hear that. Yeah.
You talk in your book about how your friends advised you to specialize and say that you would only take songbirds and raptors, no babies. Have you ever actually managed to do that?
I did. I did manage to do that, sort of. I supposedly right now, for the last year or so, maybe longer than that, I've only done raptors and crows. No, I'll always do crows just because I can't say no. But I say that, raptors and crows, and then I end up with some songbirds, and I end up with this stray duck or something like that. But I try and stick to it, and it has made a big difference.
With the burnout.
Yes, and with the exhaustion, the total exhaustion.
Do you have a staff
now? In my dreams. No, still having a staff, it's another layer. It's another sort of responsibility, and I'm really trying to downsize. My kids are teenagers, and they have to be driven everywhere, and so.
Question here.
Are you going to tell your wildlife rehabber listeners about your book?
Yes, yes, I definitely will. And I'm hoping that if I keep saying if I go on a book tour, because this is still sort of unreal to me. I keep thinking it's all going to vanish. I'm going to say something wrong, and the whole thing's going to disappear. But if I were to go pretty much any place in the country, I can get a hold of some bird sanctuary, some rehabber nearby, and say, why don't you come and bring some education birds and bring your stuff, bring your materials. Let people know locally where you are and that you need help and that you need money and volunteers and stuff. And that way it would benefit them as well as me.
We sometimes ask authors to wait closer to the book. So that's a very good question. Is Flyaway, who looked up Flyaway Inc.? Is it a good site?
It's not. I couldn't find it. I saw one that belonged to Flyaway Inc. It's more of a big nonprofit.
Do you know what
There is a
board of directors and
Really?
yeah.
Where is
They
it?
do bird rehabilitation. I don't remember what it was, but it was a very snappy Flash website. I mean, yeah.
I'll have to look that up. Well.
Other questions? Yes.
Do you still have Merlin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Still have Merlin. Merlin's even bigger. Just keeps keeps getting larger and larger. He's a great dog. He's 5 years old now, and just likes to spend his summer swimming and avoiding the parrots in the house. Yes.
Do you think you'd like to write another book? Or?
Yeah, I do. If I can get a minute. It's always the way. But writing the book, that 8 months that I took off was it was sort of, it was very hard, and I'd have to go through all these stories again in my mind. So. Sometimes my kids would come home from school and I'd be sitting there going, I can't believe this bird is gone. And it was like years ago. So, but on the other hand, being able to sit in a room, with, of course, the parrots are there and the dog is there, but sit in a room and just write and have no life or death issues. There's nobody calling and saying, you've got to go get this bird, you've got to go do this, you've got to, it was incredibly peaceful. It was nice, so I would like to do that again. Yeah.
The part of the book that really got me was when you were letting the birds go, and you were. So does that get any easier for you, or is it still that thing? That was the part of the book that really got me.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm glad.
Yeah. So I didn't know if it gets any easier.
I think after what it does get a little bit easier, but if you're affected by it to begin with,
right.
There's always going to be something there that affects you. And of course, each bird you let go, there's been some different history. There's been, you have some different connection. Every bird, there's some connection there that is unique to the bird. And when he goes, there he goes.
Joyce, did you have a question?
No, it's been covered.
Okay. Guitar picks?
Has George ever come back to visit you?
George could come back at this point, and if he has molted out that white feather and he has become more wild, I might not know it. I would like to think that if George ever came back, he'd just come and land on my head. But you never know. So I have a big crew of crows that hang around my house, of course, and they're always looking for the handout, and they're crows that I've released over the years, and babies that were fledglings once, and I see them every day. They come down and scream at me to go get them food, and like a good slave, I do. So they come back again. But so I keep hoping I'm going to see George someday. I never. I could be probably 80 years old, and I'd still be, I think that's George.
Susie, stop it.
Yeah. And Mario would still be going, war!
Beach Romeo. Do you feel comfortable signing the pictures to people if they came by?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
Because we're going to send everybody, finished books when the time comes. We'll track you all down in your different new addresses or current addresses or whatever. But I thought for today we made a bunch of Xeroxes of the birds. We're going to come down around and get a bird. She'll sign it.